Welcome to this edition of Real Talk with TAS and OnJerya. I am your co-host, Dr. Teresa A. Smith, Dr. TAS, and OnJerya is my beautiful co-host, who just happens to be my sister, bringing in the people over on IG now. OnJerya, how are you?
Girl, I'm cold, honey. I'm cold. But not as cold compared to my coworkers up north, honey. Yeah. They are still recovering from the blizzard that they've experienced over the weekend, and yeah. So no, just a little nip nip, but can't complain.
I'm glad to hear that you cannot complain. So I'm just going to jump right in. Normally, guys, OnJerya handles all of the content, but I'm so transparent. And for those who know me, they know I really don't do reality TV. And I think it's because when reality TV was coming to the mainstream, I was in my doctoral program. Um, well, I can't blame it all on that because I think you told me that this person was around in the was it the 90s?
In the 90s.
Well, I won't aware. Okay. I was probably doing AKA, so I just didn't have time to consume a lot of different things. And so last year, I traveled with OnJerya. We were together a lot. And somehow or another, she introduced me to Tammy Roman. Now, I talk about Tammy Roman like I talk about OnJerya and Miss Gloria because I had no idea who she was. And OnJerya introduced me to the show Caught in the Act.
Unfaithful.
I'm faithful. And so, come on Tuesday nights. And, once OnJerya introduced me to that, I had to start telling her, it's Tammy tonight. And, it's Tammy tonight too. And that, of course I can stream it. Of course, and I do. But it's Tammy. And so I fell in love with Tammy. And the reason is that for me, hi, thank you, Lisa Frazier, for joining us over on IG. The reason is that Tammy is, for me, she is real with the show. It's so relatable. And so relatable from the standpoint, people really do go through some challenging times and trauma is real. And being able to make the decision that's in your best interest, it's a challenge. And so I love the way that she and Ken administer advice, guidance, and how they try to help them resolve some of the circumstances that they're enduring. So, I find myself saying, you all been, and if you watch the show, you know what she said. You all been playing. Why don't you put that energy towards the man that's playing you? Well, Tammy is a part of my life every day. So when Double Trouble was going to be premiering on Sunday, I said to OnJerya, I said, I want to talk about Double Trouble. And that's a departure because I let her handle it. And so I told her, I said, we're talking double trouble. She's like, I already got it on my TV. I was like, well, I ain't going to be watching. I said, I'm going to be watching. And I was taking notes. I was taking notes. I did a video about it. I did a blog post about it. And so, OnJerya,
Yes, ma'am.
you took the baton and we're going to run with double trouble because I don't know what you're getting ready to take us through tonight, but I'm down for it because it's Tammy.
Oh, yes, it is Tammy Tuesday, honey. Tammy
Yeah.
Roman Tuesday. And yes, if, for those of you um, 80s, 90s babies, I mean, even, 2000-ish babies, I don't even know if they show the reruns, but we first met Tammy Roman on Real World. which used to come on MTV. And basically, it was like seven strangers from all over the US would come together, live in a house. And they had several seasons, and every season would be somewhere different, somewhere new. And I can't remember what city or like state they were in, but that's where Tammy started. And of course, she married, and I'm not going to go down her resume, but if you know Tammy, you know Tammy. She's on was on Basketball Wives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, love me some Tammy, honey, and I could say Tammy play her part on Double Trouble. Okay. So, yes. So I just finished watching your Double Trouble. I did start watching it on Saturday when it came on. I came in at the middle. Today I started at the beginning. So I said, ooh, this is good. I said, Lord Jesus, the church folks gonna have a field day with this. Because I was home over the weekend and mom was on YouTube and she saw the clip where I was crying, trying to get the information out about 2 weeks ago. And she was like, Robert, and Jay, you're in here crying. I said, oh, honey, you got to watch the whole episode because it was deep. It was heavy, right? You got to watch the whole episode to understand. And I was like, yeah. I said, it seems like the last couple of weeks we've been having altar call. I said, normally it's Teresa. I said, now it seems like it's me. So, yeah, it is. It is very much, as I told Teresa, it is Bible Study Tuesday somewhere. And we may have altar call. And if we do, it's okay. And I may be a little long-winded, but it's okay. I promise you. We're going to get there and it's all going to make sense. So, if you didn't have the pleasure of watching Lifetime's Double Trouble with Tammy Roman, let me just give you a quick little synopsis of what you missed. So, Kevin and Drea, they appear to have a perfect marriage until years of infertility struggles finally lead to pregnancy, which is then followed by devastating miscarriages. The heartbreak fractures their relationship beyond repair, ending in divorce. Now, Drea, which is the youngest sister, she's known for her sleek, straight hair and quiet, longing spirit. She feels disregarded, unwanted, and emotionally bankrupt. She believes that no one truly chooses her. Meanwhile, her twin sister, Allie, who is the oldest, she's bold, she's confident, she has curly hair. She always wears that signature red lipstick. As the church folks would say, she's a little loosey goosey. Okay,
Yeah.
she's a little loosey goosey. She never desired marriage or motherhood, but as the older twin and clearly their mother's favorite, she always seemed effortlessly chosen. She co-hosts a trendy cooking show with her sister called Double the Recipe, where the twins charm audience members with their playful banter and perfect dishes. But behind the scenes, jealousy simmers. So Allie, she makes the ultimate betrayal. She falls in love with someone that Drea once cared for. And when Kevin moves on after the divorce and gets another woman pregnant, Allie snaps. She's consumed by the rage and the twisted loyalty to her sister. She murders Kevin, believing that he discarded Drea too easily. But it doesn't stop there. With Drea drowning in her grief and her resentment, she too retaliates in a way that you don't see coming. She manipulates events that causes Allie, remember the one who didn't want to be married, didn't want to be a mother? Yeah. She causes her to lose her unborn child. The guilt, the rivalry, the favoritism, and the years of silent competition explode into a final confrontation. And in the end, Drea kills Allie.
Mm-hmm.
In the ultimate act of identity theft, emotionally and literally, Drea assumes Allie's life and she takes over the Double Recipe cooking show And she steps into her twin's confident persona, and she eventually marries Ryan, the man that Allie loved. And the sister who felt invisible becomes the one everyone sees, but at a chilling cost. So that's basically the synopsis of Double Trouble. And so I said, ooh, I said, it look and sound very familiar. So I'm going to come from the subject. Oh, it's like I'm about to preach. Okay. I'm going to
Preach
come
that,
from,
girl. Preach.
I'm going to come from the subject of comparison is a thief. Don't let it steal you. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
When you spent your life feeling unseen, how far would you go to finally be chosen? So I said, this kind of reminds me of the good old Bible. I said, oh Lord, here we go. We're going back to the Bible. Going back to the Bible. I said, Lord, help me. Help me, help me. And then I started with the book of Genesis with good old Cain and Abel.
Ain't that?
Cain and Abel. The first sibling story in the Bible begins with a comparison and ends in what? Murder. Cain feels rejected when God favors Abel's offering. Instead of processing his hurt, he internalizes it. Jealousy grows into resentment, resentment into rage, and rage into murder. So, how does this relate to double trouble? Well, let me tell you. Allie killing Kevin mirrors Cain's impulsive, emotional, driven act. It wasn't just about Kevin. It was about rejection. It was about the perceived injustice. It was about why does he get to move on while my sister suffers? And this just shows us how unhealed emotional wounds can distort logic, just like Cain allowed the wounded pride to override the reason. But then I kept doing a little more digging. I said, oh, okay. What else we got, Lord? And he brought me to Jacob, and is it Esau?
Esau.
They were twins that were divided by parental preference. Isaac favored Esau, Rebecca favored Jacob. The favoritism created manipulation, deception, and of course, lifelong division. So how do we relate that back to the movie? The mother's stronger bond with Allie plants a seed of imbalance early on. See, Drea grows up feeling less than, unseen, second place. So that emotional gap widens over time. Favoritism, it doesn't always create a loud conflict at first. Sometimes it just creates silent insecurity that festers for years. Now, Drea's identity takeover echoes Jacob stealing Esau's blessing. She literally stepped into her sister's role, not just emotionally, but socially and physically. Then I kept on being like, okay, what else you got for me, Lord? And he said, I want to take you to Rachel and Leah. I want to talk about the competition over love and motherhood. Sisters Rachel and Leah are locked into a painful comparison. Leah is unloved but fertile, and Rachel is loved but struggled with infertility. Their worth becomes entangled with childbearing. So, how does this relate? Well, see, Drea's infertility struggles echoes Rachel's anguish. Give me children or I'll die. The desperation for motherhood becomes tied to what? Her identity. Miscarriages in the movie are not just physical loss, right? They become emotional proof in Drea's mind that once again, she's unwanted. And Allie, who initially didn't want to be a wife, she didn't want to be a mother, who then later loses her own child, adds another tragic layer. Like Leah and Rachel, competing for validation through fertility. And I know you're like, "Oh, you're not done." Oh, I'm not done. Because, every year down there at Henderson Grove, for those of you that know where Henderson Grove is, our home church, I think every March or April, we have the 12 Tribe program, the
Mm-hmm.
12 Tribes of Israel. And I said, ooh, we're going to talk about Joseph. We're going to talk about Joseph and his brother. The danger of being the favorite.
Come on.
See, Joseph's coat of many colors symbolized, obvious favoritism.
Mm-hmm.
His brothers resent him. They sell him into slavery. Jealousy nearly destroys the family. And you say, well, how does that relate back to the double trouble? Well, I'll tell you how. See, Allie, she's the confident, chosen favorite twin, and she doesn't realize how much her coat is her success, her mother's love, her public spotlight on the double recipe cooking show just fuels Drea's insecurity. So favoritism isolates the favorite child just as much as it wounds the overlooked one. And I know you like, well, you got more? Girl, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, Lord, we got some more to say. Let's go. Let's break this down some more. Let's talk about the infertility and the miscarriage trauma. The women silently grieve pregnancy loss while smiling publicly. Divorce often follows prolonged fertility struggles. Shame and comparison intensifies when others conceive easily. So Drea was feeling of being broken, reflects real women who internalize miscarriages as a personal failure, even though it isn't. Unprocessed grief can morph into bitterness. And I know, we know a couple of people like that, but we'll keep on going.
Keep going.
The psychology of the invisible child. In many families, one sibling is labeled the strong one is the talented one is the difficult one, and one is even the overlooked one. Well, see, Drea, she has that invisible child syndrome. Over time, invisibility can become an identity. When someone feels unseen long enough, they may try extreme measures to be seen. See, the identity swap that we saw in Double Trouble is very symbolic of what happens today in the real world. See, because people abandoning themselves to become who they think others will value more. I know you're like, but come on, you got some more. Oh, I do. I'm not done. Then let's talk about the social media and the public image versus the private pain.
Mm-hmm.
See, Double the Recipe, the cooking show, it represents the curated perfection. Because see, on screen, the beautiful twins, they bonded. Such
Uh-huh.
success, and they smile. But behind the scenes that no one knew was this rivalry, resentment, emotional fracture, which mirrors the modern culture of where branding can hide your brokenness. I said, okay, we might begin somewhere. Where are we at now? We at the emotional decision making. Permanent decisions made in a temporary emotional have lasting consequences. See, Allie killed out of her emotional impulse, while Drea retaliates out of the long stored resentment. But neither one of them took the time to pause. Because as Teresa liked to say, they were acting out of their emotion and not their
Yeah.
intellect. And I'm like, okay, do we got some more? Of course we do. Worth tied to roles. The wife, the mother, the favorite daughter, the successful twin. When identity becomes the role based instead of self based, losing the role feels like losing existence. So, Andrea's final act of taking Allie's life and marrying Ryan, it symbolizes someone trying to secure externally what they never developed
Okay.
internally.
Mhm.
So, I say all that to say I'm not done. I know, girl. I'm going to bring us on home. Are you ready for it? Here we go. Biblically and psychologically, the lesson is the same. Unhealed wounds don't disappear, they just transfer. And sibling rivalry, if left unchecked, can destroy more than just relationships, it can destroy identity. And as I stated, from the very, very, very beginning, the Bible shows us something real about human nature. Siblings competing, comparing, and feeling overlooked. Cain felt rejected. Esau felt replaced. Leah felt unloved. And Joseph's brothers felt overshadowed. And if we were honest, that's not just the Bible, that's real life. Today, comparison doesn't just happen in the house. It happens on social media. See, while you scrolling, you might see that someone else is pregnant while you're struggling with infertility. You may even see that someone else is married while you're divorced. You might even see that somebody got promoted while you were overlooked. And you know what? You might even see where someone else got celebrated while you felt invisible. And quietly, the enemy whispers, see, you're behind. You're less. You're not chosen. But comparison, this is a thief. It steals your peace. It steals your joy. It steals your identity. But in the real world, some siblings, they grow up being labeled, right? The smart one, the pretty one, the favorite one, the difficult one. And those labels follow us into what? Our adulthood.
Mhm.
Some people become high achievers trying to prove that they matter. Some become bitter trying to survive feeling unseen. Some destroy relationships because they are afraid of being replaced. Comparison doesn't always make you violent, but it can make you resentful. It can make you feel insecure. It can make you sabotage what God is building in your life. So, this is really what it boils down to. Someone else's blessing is not proof of your rejection. When Cain compared offerings, he missed the opportunity to improve his own. When Joseph's brothers compared favor, they almost destroyed their destiny. In today's world, we don't throw people into pits, we throw shade. We don't always use weapons, we use words. We don't always commit murder, but we kill connections. And it all starts with what? Comparison. If you're struggling with infertility, divorce, favoritism, sibling tension, or feeling like the lesser one, you're not broken. You're not late. You're not forgotten. You're not the second choice. God does not duplicate destinies, He designs them. So please stop measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel. Stop competing for validation that God already gave you. Because when you truly know who you are and whose you are, you don't need to take anyone else's place. You can stand on your own.
Well, let the church say amen. I want to welcome Eric Sturdivant over on Facebook for watching and being with us. I want to mention Destiny 4, who's joined us over on IG, and Glenda the Good, 246, thank you for joining us. And Patricia Jean Boren, thank you. And shout out Christmas. Crystal, we're going to have to get together, Crystal, someday, I tell you. Thank you for joining us. And I am Amy Brennan, number one. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, let the church say amen. God is
Amen.
spoken. Um, Now, I don't even know if he wants me to say anything but amen and just, call, do out, truly do all to call tonight, and then just bless the people and send them on their way. I'm not quite sure yet what he wants me to do. But what I will start off by saying this, it is such a fascinating movie, Double Trouble, starring Tammy Roman. Now, Tammy did a wonderful job. And I'm not being partial, but she really did a good job
Yes, it is.
because Allie, Andrea, them two women, they something. And to see one person embody them to the level that she did, it is more than worth your time. You can see this 5 or 10 times, and you're gonna see something else, something different every time. The Cain and Abel. And I mean, he really let you walk it through because, as you was getting ready to start, I'm like, oh, Cain and Abel. Because basically, and if you go with what OnJerya did, and I can't say she did it chronologically as it appears in the Bible, but she started with Cain and Abel. But that lets you know this comparison that comes to steal. It's been with us since we would put out the Garden of Eden. I'm going to put it like that. So it's been with us since the beginning of time. The question is it in control of you or do you control it? We're talking about a lot of different issues here. We're talking about, and you didn't hit it on Jay, but we're talking about beauty because there's a time in there when, in the movie, when Drea says, oh, well, if you think she's beautiful, you must think I am also. Now, and I think his name is Ryan. He looked, because it kind of takes you back. But you see, these are the same women. They're identical twins. One's hair is a little more curly. Drea's hair is straight. So Andrea wears a little more matted makeup, the matted lipstick, whereas Andrea Allie wears the bold red, and Drea wears the more matted lipstick. And when they're on the show, they're in the same outfit. So if you think one is beautiful, you should think the other is beautiful. But when we start talking about identity, even with that piece of it, they're identical twins. But one feels less than, even as far as their features and how they look, because Mama said early on, well, Allie's just easier. See, Drea want too easy. Now, what that means, I don't know. But Allie's she's just easy. And so, of course, she was Mom's favorite. And Drea heard that at the age of 7 when they'd had a birthday party, and Dad was trying to redirect Mom because it had been a little hurtful. Thank you, Hickman Carrington, for joining us over on Facebook. And thank you, Sue Minto, for joining us over on IG. So, again, it is such a layered, multi-layered movie.
Yeah.
That I was just like, oh my God. And I felt, and OnJerya can attest to this, there are times in my life where I just have to do something. Now I do like Tammy. Don't get it twisted. But I had to see that movie because I started seeing her advertise it on social media. And then when I would see the clips as it was being advertised on streaming, I'm like, I'm like, I'm like, I want to see what they're going to do with this because you're talking about real life. You don't have to be siblings, and you certainly don't have to be twins. The themes that OnJerya brought out so eloquently are the themes that we endure in life every day. I'll help you on my terms because I don't want your highlight reel to be more enticing than my highlight reel. So I only help you when I choose to. Now, some people say, Teresa, you can help people when you choose to. And yeah, you can. But don't present yourself as a helper when you selected about when you gonna help. Because sometimes people will help you when you no longer need their help. Now, it's up to you to understand what is going on there. Like, Allie says that Drea is not a murderer, but she was. But she forgot if she was a murderer, we're talking the same DNA.
Right.
And after the movie, I'm still thinking about, well, one way that he could have found out that was really his woman if we could have used the fingerprints, because the fingerprints should be different. I know it's like, Teresa, why are you thinking about that? Well, I'm still thinking about the movie and the way it ended. Y'all just got to watch it. But yeah, this comparison and this theme that gets in our hearts, and we just can't let it go. And you can't always blame stuff on your parents. One of the things that I learned years ago, and it was something that was in an office, and I want to say it was attributed to Eisenhower or Roosevelt. But basically, you do the best that you can with what you have at the time that you are making a decision. And our parents are not perfect. They do the best that they can, given who they are, their upbringing, and all of these different things. But as we grow up, it's up to us to determine whether or not we want to keep carrying the wounds of yesteryears with us. Now, I'm not saying it don't hurt, but are you going to let those wounds control your life? And I think you said somewhere, OnJerya, that unhealed wounds, they only transfer.
Yeah.
They do. They just transfer from situation to situation, person to person. So again, I think that, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to mispronounce it. Carcia Broom Cemento over on, and then the Cemento again over on IG. Thank you so much for joining us. I love the Bible, but I'm trying to figure out how I can say what I want to say and let me be OnJerya,
Okay.
because she has taken on the TAS persona. Uh, it's time for us to get real with ourselves. I'm sorry. She done walked it that way. Let me try to walk it a different way. It's time for us to get real. We too old, as my niece would say, in this big old age, whatever your big old age is, whether it's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, or 90. And I hope they ain't going to the people that's in 100. Hopefully they done got over it. In your big old age, you need to understand life and call it what it is and make a decision whether you're going to get over it or you're going to stay stuck in the mud. And you think it's mud, but it's quicksand. So you're going to be falling to the bottom because you're going down. And there's nobody to put a branch out there to try to pull you out of that quicksand. So you're sinking and blaming it on other people when you need to be looking inward, because ultimately you are in control of your life. Yes, stuff happens to all of us. Stuff happens to me every day. And some good stuff has happened. Not so good stuff has happened. But it doesn't profit me to stay hung up on what this person did or that person did. Because see, they live in their life. They live in their best life. And what's my part? They ain't going back and forth with you, whomever you may be. They ain't going back and forth with you on that. And if they are going back and forth with you on that, they're doing it for a reason. And the reason is not good. And if you succumb to their manipulation, their gaslighting, that's you, baby. That's you. When are you going to get a clue and make a determination that you're going to act in your best interest? Pain is real. Trauma is real. I have had trauma when I was younger. I still keep having trauma. It is real. But you have to determine how you're going to go through life. We had the Bible. We had regular old paid in place when I was growing up, meaning everybody knew what was going on in your life and in your home and all this stuff. They just talk, Now we got social media and you putting it out there for them to talk. Well, baby, if you putting it out there for them to talk about you, why are you getting upset? Because see, that don't make sense. Well, they say call a spade because you did that. And the thing is, we've always lived in a world where people wanted the upper hand. They just went about it in different ways, and they still go about it in different ways. But they want the upper hand. But in our big old age, nobody should have the upper hand about your life. So what do you mean by that? Drea had a good life. She just didn't have the baby, and she didn't have the man. And all of that was her identity. And then, even with the business stuff, that where they're going to, meet with investors and stakeholders, they would prefer to have Allie go. Because, Allie be up there dancing on the table. Well, even though I smile it off, that hurts. Because even they want her. Why don't you go and find out who you are, baby? Then build your own life outside of being her sister. Find your life. Who are you? You see, you're not getting what you want because of what you're putting out. What am I putting out? I'm putting out this sadness, this anger, this bitterness. I can't stand her. Why are you looking at me like this energy? That's what I'm putting out. So what you put out is what you get back. Because she had an opportunity to go build her own life. They can still do the show. That's money. That's their show. But who are you going to be? They living together. Don't live with her. Have your own life. They should have had enough money to live separately. Because then you're no longer in someone's shadow. But that means I have to have the willpower to do it. And then if I do that, then I can no longer blame this person for my misery. So when I'm blaming somebody, let me tell you what that does. I keep feeding that monster. I'm feeding the monster. And if I'm in the same space with the monster, oh, Black Jesus, I can feed that monster. Because sometimes it's just the person's presence that feeds the monster. They don't have to say a word to you. Their presence feeds the monster. So again, I just think that as I channel OnJerya, we just got to do better. We got to do better. And this is applicable to our families, work, our personal relationships, our romantic, our friends. It's applicable to everything. Because remember, the comparison comes to steal. And you know what I keep talking about? He comes to kill, steal. He. So Satan gets that little toehold, I guess they would call it, at home. And once he's got it, if you can't break loose, he's just making a hole. A hole grows inside of your heart and it gets larger, larger, and larger. That's what was happening with Cain and Abel. And that's what happened with Allie and Drea. Allie done committed murder out of impulse. And then got the nerve to say her sister is not a murderer. They're calling the Keller Black. Now, you know, if you can commit murder and live happy with it. Now, we may say, what do you mean live happy? She just
No.
moved on like it never happened. It's like it never happened. It happened early in the movie. And I thought, Allie done killed that man. But then I thought, well, maybe we'll pull Allie. Then I'm like, yeah, Allie done killed that man. And then at the end, she talked about it like, after she done told her man that no, Drea is not a murderer. I'm thinking, "Are you a murderer?" And now Drea is a murderer. So here it is, these two women who grew up in the same environment, identical twins. Allie appeared to have everything: mother's love, everybody's love. Everyone gravitated to her. Drea, beautiful also, but people didn't gravitate to her. Allie becomes a murderer. Drea becomes a murderer. Two women raised in the same household. Trauma impacted this one way, so I'm going to protect my sister. I'm born 22 seconds early. I'm going to protect her at all costs. I'm born 22 seconds after she is born. She's always going to protect me. So I can do whatever I want to do. I can have her life because she is always going to protect me. And ultimately, I take her life. I just don't have her life. You know, people covet your life. They covet what you have. They want it. And I like to talk about the fact, but you don't want to go through what I have to go through to get this stuff, baby. You don't want to go through this, but you want it. Okay. You don't want to go through what I have been through to get that. But she want it, Allie's life, the murderer who killed her ex-husband because he hurt her sister and she loved her sister that much. And she thought her sister finally had someone had chosen her. But after all the miscarriages, he decided to leave. But you knew he was going to leave because he wanted to leave in the hospital. Did you not see him rolling around his wedding band? Did you see it?
I saw that.
He wanted to leave then. But, you know, Alice spoke. So, you know, he kind of pulled it back. Thank you so much, Pam Moss, for joining us over on Facebook. He kind of pulled it back. But he wanted to go then. He was tired of it then. So Allie kills for her sister. Then Drea kills Allie, and she takes Allie's life. We see that happen every day.
Yeah.
Where people are killing other people, not literally, to get what you have. A friend of mine often talks about that shiny object syndrome. Let us remove ourselves from the shiny object syndrome. Let's just try to, get as for what's the wording? Let me try to go back biblical. What is that word? And we need to, let's try to be delivered. Let's be delivered from that shiny object syndrome, because that shiny object syndrome may lead you down the wrong path. And what was for you, that God had been giving you slithers of it, because we can't handle the whole purpose at one time, because we choose with our free will the shiny object. Oh God, I can't with you. The shiny object, we lose what was right here because we wanted the shiny object. And that was not my object. That was your object. See, that was Allie's object. But I wanted it. Drea wanted it. And if you saw the end of the movie, I'm waiting for the second one, because you see, everything that shines ain't gold. Everything that shines ain't gold. And I'm waiting to see how they're going to put those two people up against each other. Because they're going to rock and roll. They're going to rock and roll. Because you got two good people coming together. I'm being facetious. You got two good people coming together. Watch the movie, Double Trouble. Look at what happens in the end, that last two scenes, and you'll know what I'm talking about. That's foreshadowing. I'm waiting on that second movie to come out, because that's going to be something. And the question is, who's going to survive then? What R. Kelly said? He's a bad man. From Shaft.
Not ashamed of it.
He's a bad man. So Oh, Jesus, God, it's so cute the way he just worked that right out. Yeah, because he's a bad man. Uh, listen in the movie. I just don't want to give everything away. But yes, Angelia, I think you did an excellent job, and I tried to channel you. It's so hard to channel you sometimes because I have to slow it down because Angelia can just roll it, and she's a tad younger than me. And but one thing I do want to say this though, I thought about this as you were talking, sisters, sisters, sisters. I have two sisters. Angelia is my youngest sister. My middle sister, I'm the only one that calls her by the name, which is Marley. Nobody else can call her by that name. No one else does call her by that name. Um, but we are three very different individuals. And I would like to think that we understand that our value is not in each other's identity because our identities are different. But it doesn't mean that the three of us don't have value. We do. We just have value in a different space because we're different. I will say, and then it's going to be like, well, daggone it. She kind of contradicted herself. My middle sister she's a many things. She's an evangelist. I can't roll down all them things, but she's a woman of God. But then it's like, but y'all so different. We are, but you see the similarities. But we can each play in our own lane. And that's what I want to leave you with, because we've walked through the Bible talking about the sibling rivalry and how parents' love can influence that with the favoritism, et cetera, et cetera. But we don't have to let our parents' favoritism ruin the relationship that we have with our siblings. We don't have to let that ruin our identity. We have a choice. We have a choice. And each of us have to make that choice individually of our own free will. And whatever you decide, it's okay. Just live with it and then try to be the best version of you that you can be without having your parents, your siblings in your ear, and anybody else in your ear. Because ultimately, as Angelia said, comparison, the wounds are there. They just get moved to different people, different situations. But
Yep.
it's up to us to determine what we want our life to be. It's up to us. And we can make that decision each and every day with intention. Angelia, anything else you want to say? You want to do the benediction? Or?
Uh, I mean, you did a good job channeling me, though. I like that.
I try.
Um,
I can do better offline.
I'm sure you can. We know you can, honey.
No, I can't.
We know you can. Um, I will leave you with this thought. What label have I accepted that God never assigned me to? I know I got to do some thinking. I got to do some inner work and I got to do some soul searching. But that is my thoughts, my question. What label have I accepted that God never assigned to me? Because see, part of the problem with Drea and Allie is that Drea wanted something that wasn't for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she just couldn't believe it wasn't for her. See, if she knew who she was, instead of trying to be her sister because they identical and they looked alike and they dressed alike and they sound alike,
Mm-hmm.
she then would have time to be chasing the waterfalls I keep talking about.
Yeah, you're in the waterfalls.
She would have been over there sweeping around her front doorstep.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we're talking about siblings. But this goes for friendship because we all got the friend group. You got the skinny friend, the fat friend. the pretty friend, the ugly friend. Come on now. We know we got all these different labels. You know, at work, you got your worker bee or or your worker horse, you know, working like a horse.
Workhorse, yeah.
Then you got your slackers. Then you got your, well, you know, they just here. We all know people. So even though we are talking about a movie, right? This is real. This is real talk. That's why the show called Real Talk.
Yep.
This is real talk. This is everyday living. You know somebody. I know somebody. You might even be the person and don't even know you the person. But again, what label have you accepted that God never assigned to you? Think about it. Marinate on it. Journal about it. Pray about it. Because once you have your answer, then some of that things that you are trying to identify with, you will really come to the understanding that that's not you. Because see, what's for you is for you. It shouldn't have to be a struggle. So, baby, if you're struggling, it's because it's not for you. It's not for you. So, again, what label have you accepted that God never assigned to you, that you're trying to work through it? And then now you want to be over here pitiful mouth. Lord, woe is me. Why life so hard? Life hard because you're doing something that ain't supposed to be you. That's why it's hard for you. I'm not going to preach again. I didn't preach this time, and I don't need the people at Henderson Grove nor Parson Grove to be like Deacon Smith and Deaconess Smith. Now, we knew about that middle child.
Yes.
And we know about that oldest one.
Well,
But why that baby girl up there having an altar call and preaching sermons? And she done 2 weeks ago, she done preached her initial sermon. I ain't preached no such a thing.
she did.
I'm just having a conversation.
Bless you. Bless you.
I'm just having a conversation. As they said, let the Lord use you. And he has definitely been doing that. So as I give this back to you, like I said, what label have you accepted that was never assigned to you? That's it.
Well, thank you. You know, we're Baptists, and you know, there's always a responsive reading. We grew up with responsive reading. We're very traditional Baptists. What came to me was because you said, "What label have I accepted that God never assigned to me?" Well, many things, because I started thinking about my own labels. But I want to remind us that He said, "And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath." And that's Deuteronomy 28:13. But you know, we hear the head and not the tail. Now, as I try to wrap this up, Lord, help me to get out what I think you want me to say. Sometimes, thank you for joining us, Bam, Tommy 83, and D Martin 1 8, and there's a couple other people have joined us over on IG. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail. What label have I accepted that God never assigned to me? He will make you the head and not the tail. So when I talk about Drea should have gone and found out what he wanted, God wanted her to be in her life. Because see, then she would have been the head and not the tail.
Mhm.
Sometimes we think that we are living the life that God wants us to live, but we've chosen to live the life that people have given us to live, and we think that we actually live in life. You the tail, baby. Now, I could use a different word, but I won't use that vernacular because you have accepted a label that man chose to give you versus the label that God said that you were. Let's listen, let's listen to God's label for us versus listening to what man's label is. And I know it gets hard. They don't call you back. You thought you had a good man or a good woman or whatever. You thought you had some good friends. Yes, baby. TD Jake says it well. Have another one, honey, is when he's talking about Sarah. You know, again, you can find better. particularly when it's not serving you. If something's not serving you and you have become the tail instead of the head, because Deuteronomy said he'll make you the head and not the tail. That means you've accepted a label that somebody else has put on you, and you want to be in their good graces, so you're going to keep going with it. Well, that's your problem. I don't want to hear about it. Don't cry about something that you've chosen to accept, because you chose to accept it. People can't get you out of bondage when you like the bondage that you're in.
Yeah.
Because it makes you feel good. Because these people recognize me. This person did XYZ. Well, why are you crying about it? Well, I didn't realize I was crying about it. If you got to keep talking to people about your situation, you're crying about it. Let's stop that. Let's grow up. Because he's already told us that he would make us the head and not the tail. We become the tail because we accept labels and positions that people put us in. What's your movie, OnJerya? Nobody puts baby in a corner.
In the corner, yeah.
You don't put baby in a corner because you've made baby the tail instead of the head. And this is Dirty Dancing. And Patrick Swayze comes in and he takes her and he shows them who baby is. And her family is like, because they thought baby was one thing, but that was not who baby was. She was a totally different person. And it took somebody from the outside to come in and said, no, you're not going to do this. I'm going to show you who I am, and I'm going to show you who my dance partner is. And they brought the house down. So my thing is this. We got a choice. We can be the head or we can be the tail. Meaning you can accept the labels that people want to put on you, or you can accept the crown that God has for you. If you don't believe in God, whatever, higher power, whatever, because you can be made to feel the tail, be the tail, and not be a person of faith. It's not about religion. It's about manipulation. It's about gaslighting. It's about not believing strongly enough in yourself that you get a little wishy-washy sometimes because the wind blows us and we go this way and it blows us back this way. Because sometimes we're just not as anchored as we need to be. So understand, you have a choice. We saw what choice Drea made, bless her soul. I'm waiting on the next movie, guys. Tammy, I'm waiting on that next movie because I see it coming. We see what choice Drea made. But the question becomes, as I close this out, he said he'd make you the head and not the tail. The question is, can she maintain the head that she has made? And remember, before you guys go trying to take care of someone else, make sure you take care of yourself first. Bye now.
Bye.